My name is Diana. I'm an alcoholic. This is a big room. My home group is the Back Porch Lunch Bunch on Starkey Road in Largo, Florida. Yeah. If you're ever on the Gulf of Mexico and you're looking for a good meeting to go to, we have meetings at 7 a.m., noontime, 5:30, and 8 o'clock every night. Yeah, it's a great home group. My sobriety date is June 28th, 1986. And, oh boy, I can't even imagine how I'm standing here today. How did this happen? Katie showed me the room today when we got here. It was just chairs. It was just chairs. And it still scared me. And now look, it's full. But the candles were wonderful. I've never seen that. That was really something. I'm really glad that I got to be a part of that. And I was already crying, so. I'm not an expert in Alcoholics Anonymous, and you'll quickly come to learn that as I talk more and more. And I was in the elevator, and if you can't understand the way I'm talking, I'm from Massachusetts, and nobody can understand us. And I was practicing earlier, and we were in the elevator, and I was talking to a couple of people from here, and I think I offended them. I didn't mean to. I really was trying to, so forget it. I'm just going to talk the way I talk, because I'm not going to get that overnight. I'd have to move here. But I moved to Florida 12 years ago, and it hasn't gone, so whoever that, it was in the elevator. I didn't mean to be offensive. I really was trying to learn how to pronounce a few words here. And I'm going to give up. So, we're so blessed. Look at this. I was thinking today when she showed me the room that I've heard this saying that there isn't a room big enough to hold the people who need the program. You know, we meet together because we want it. And it's so exciting to me to be with this many people that want it. I mean, and if you got it for today, hold on to it. Cherish the gift. That's what I learned early on from some very great teachers in my neighborhood. To cherish the gift. It's a gift. I didn't do anything special or noble to deserve it. All I did was, when it was presented to me, I received it. I accepted it. I'm so very grateful. So, let me just collect my thoughts. This is a big room. So, Lee, are you there? Okay. All right. So it's all going on tape, too. So we got to get it together. What a beautiful, beautiful group of people. My first drink, I didn't write it down. So I didn't know it was going to be such a significant historical event. I would have wrote a declaration of my first drink, and I didn't. And I think I was about, I was a little child. And we were at a big family wedding, my little sister and I, all dressed up. And the adults, they have the champagne toast, and everybody got up to dance. So I was taking those champagnes, my sister and I, and we go in the corner drinking them, sip, And she said, "Oh, I don't like this." And I was shocked. How could you not like it? It's wonderful. Just give me that, If you don't like it, don't waste it. And, I could see how much fun the adults were having, and there was alcohol in my home. There was alcoholism in my home. My parents, my mother was Catholic, and my father was Protestant. And they had 8 children. And my mom passed away in 2011, and I inherited my dad. When you have that many kids, there's no money to inherit. You inherit each other. So I inherited my dad, and I asked him, I said, Dad, did you want 8 children? My dad's he was a serviceman, Army. We grew up in the Army. He was World War II, Korea, Vietnam. And, yeah, my dad. And he's 93. He's still living. Yeah, and he's still doing pretty good. He still reads books every morning. He's an avid reader. And he gave me that gift. But when I asked him if he wanted, I said, Dad, did you want 8 children? He said, no. Who would? But I said, how many did you want? And he said, none. But he wanted my mother. That's what he said. I wanted your mother. That was the deal. Yeah, he's solid. He's a good guy. Alcoholic. And there's alcoholism in his family. He lost 3 sisters to alcoholism, 2 on Skid Row, 1 in a sanitarium. He knew I had it before I knew I had it. Yeah, but he's a good guy. When I was a kid, I was born with a heart defect, but we didn't know I had a heart defect. I didn't know that until I was well into my 40s, and my heart just gave out. But all my life, I would, my brothers and sisters were very athletic, climbing trees and ice skating and tobogganing and things. I'd last about 2 minutes, and I'd be back in the house. I just couldn't keep up. And I would go and I'd read books. My father would give me books. Every book he read, he'd hand it to me, and I'd read it. And I think I read Crime and Punishment when I was about 11 years old. I just read whatever he gave me to read. Yeah, The Jungle. I read The Jungle. I was probably 8. And I was like, we've got to make changes. But it was a good escape into those books. And my dad still reads today. So he would be very humble if you tried to applaud for him for being in the service. He always says, save that for the ones who didn't come back and their families and the ones that got hurt and wounded. He doesn't go for that. But I will take it for him because I'm very proud of him. So I grew up in this alcoholic home where, we call it that, right? But I loved my dad very much. I still do. And many of us are very lovable. We just drink too much. And we act out. And no one can know what we're really going to be like at any given day. So, but I took off into my alcoholism pretty early on. I was in high school, and I got a job as a nurse's aide in a nursing home. And I loved that job. And one of the reasons I loved it was the nurse I worked with would take me to the barroom with her after the shift ended. I used to pick up extra shifts anytime she was working. I wanted to work with her only. But she'd take me to the barroom. We'd close the barroom. I was 16. Yeah, I loved it. And I was in high school, and one of my girlfriends said, how do you drink in the barroom? How do you get away with it? I said, you just act like you belong there. What could be truer? I did belong there. I belonged there. I was comfortable on that bar stool. I'm a barroom drinker. I loved it. I was at ease on that bar stool. I wasn't comfortable in my own bed, in my own home, with my own family. Family that loved me. But when I got on that bar stool, everything was okay. I was all right. I was better than all right. Yeah. So I got out of high school. I did what I had to do to get through high school. And I used to say I got a scholarship to college. I told that lie for a long time. Because, you tell it so long, you think it's true. It wasn't. It was financial aid. It wasn't it wasn't because I had good grades or anything, or potential. It was because we had no money. And there was a lot of kids in my family trying to go to school, so you get financial aid. And I went up to the community college in Gardner, Massachusetts. Is anyone here from Massachusetts at all? Yeah, good. Oh, good, good. Have I met you before? So, the Gardner, Massachusetts is not Boston, okay? So I'm out in Gardner, Massachusetts, and trying to go to community college, and I'm carpooling with a couple of guys. And and I go to class, but, early in that, I saw Alan's Pub on the way to class. And I said, drop me off here, and I don't have a class till 11. I'll get there. And they were like, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. So they did, drop me off at Alan's Pub. I got on that bar stool, and what would happen to me was I couldn't get off. I couldn't get off. I get on, I couldn't get off. I planned on getting off, but I couldn't get off. And they come back at the end of the school day and pick me up, and I'd say, I'm going to get the bus home. You guys go ahead. And they would be, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Well, there's no bus in Gardner, Massachusetts. There's no public transportation out there. They've never heard of it. There's a Greyhound that goes through every 3-4 days for the people who want to escape Gardner, Massachusetts. The guy's getting out of the prison up there. That's all there was. So this wasn't good when they closed the bar. But, so what happened was I didn't make too many classes. I couldn't complete the first semester. I had incompletes. I didn't think that was that bad. I thought it was better than F's. I didn't fail. I just took a pause. So, and then my alcoholism was so, I was a functional alcoholic for about 3 weeks. Really, I couldn't do it. And, I resented people who could get up and go to work. How do they do that? I couldn't move. And then when I started to come alive early afternoon, I just went right back. I wanted to go right back to the bar room. But, so I couldn't hold on to that job at the nursing home. I started waitressing. You do a few hours, and you fill your pockets, head over to the bar. And that's what I did. And we have a triangle in here. And I had a triangle out there. I had the bar room I drank in, I had the apartment I slept in, and I had the diner I worked in. It's very strategic to be an alcoholic, isn't it? You really got a lot of strategy involved. So I got it going so good. I didn't need this car anymore that I had. The car is a problem. The car is always wanting something, taking all the money. The car wants a registration. Then it wants you to have a license. Then it wants tires, oil, gasoline, everything. So I took the car up in the woods and left it there. It was bothering my drinking. And I had this triangle. I don't need that car. I left it there like I left my education up in Gardner, Mass. Like I left my family. My family, my brothers and sisters were starting starting to have weddings and baby showers and things, and I was invited. I was invited still. And that changed, but at that time I was still invited. I was included. And I couldn't get off of the stool. Now that's when it started to bother me a little. Because there were times when I really wanted to be there, and I couldn't get off. I just once, I'm on that bar stool, I'm drinking, I've had a few. I cannot get off and go do what I even would like to do. So a couple of times there it really bothered me. My younger sister asked me to be her maid of honor, and I couldn't get there. Where you shop for the dresses and the shoes and the seafoam green and you get them all to match. I couldn't, so they just got mine, I couldn't do the things. It's a very honorable position to be asked to do that. I couldn't get off the stool. And I told the bartender, if they call, tell them I'm not here. But they knew I wasn't going anywhere. Like I didn't go anywhere. My little triangle. And I didn't drink in the fancy bar rooms. I drank in the neighborhood bar room. That's where I felt comfortable. At the nightclubs where there's glamour and disco lights and things. I was socially awkward, I guess you'd call it. And I didn't want to go there. Just leave me in the neighborhood bar room with the old guys. Eddie and Louie, they're my friends. Eddie, Louie, we're good. Just leave us alone. I smoked cigars with them, 'cause they did. Cigars. And Eddie had a beagle that he kept out in the car, and I run a Slim Jim out every couple of hours, keep his dog alive for him. And Louie had a girlfriend. She'd come in once a month and beat him up, take his check. And we would just stand back, because you didn't mess with... She was going to get that check. So we would, when it was all over, she'd leave, and we'd get him up, back on the stool. We're good. Hogan's Heroes was on the television, reruns. And Vanna White, we would guess the letters. I was content. I didn't want that to ever change. I was okay sitting there. And the bartender knew what I drank, and he'd have it ready for me. Keep them coming. I thought I thought everything was okay. I really did. I wasn't unhappy. There were things that were starting to slip. I was starting to lose jobs, and then I was starting to get barred from the bar. I don't know if that happens here. Barred from the bar. I don't even know. So I would, you don't know that you're barred from the bar because you don't remember. So you go to the bar, like you always do, and you get there, and the bartender says, "You're on the list." And the first couple of times, I got very indignant. I said, "What do you mean I'm on the list? What did I do?" "Well, then they tell you." And I say, "Are you sure it was me?" Nowadays, they got the cell phone to videotape you. You got no chance. It's all on video. It's on Facebook by the time you come out of the blackout. It's no good. I wouldn't have lasted. Oh. So, anyhow, so then I stopped asking what I did. I just simply asked, how long am I barred for? Is this a 30-day suspension? Is it a 90-day? Or am I barred for life? Because if I'm barred for life, I got to move the whole triangle. It's a lot of work. You got to make sure that there's a convenience store so you can get the groceries. The cigarettes are the groceries. That's it. It's a simple life. It's a day at a time. Well, one day, Louis come out of a blackout himself, and he said to me, "What are you doing here with us? Why do you sit here all day with us? You're young. You have your whole life in front of you." Oh, I was crushed. I can't, just the idea of being rejected from there. That was the only place that I felt okay. I didn't have an answer for him. I didn't know why I wanted to be there all day. I didn't know why I could not go there. I would plan not to go there, and I would go there. I didn't know why. I did not have an answer for that. I didn't have an answer when people say, "How come you drink so much?" Anybody ever ask you that? It's like, what do you mean? I didn't know why. I had no idea why. I just did. And I thought it was because I wanted to. A lot of times I did want to. But there was times I didn't want to. And I still did. So what happened was what happens a lot in these situations. A man comes into the picture to mess it all up. Change things. So, a guy from the neighborhood starts coming to that bar room. And I don't know, is it a relationship when you leave together at the end of the night? Is that dating? I'm really never sure about any of this part. Were we dating? We went to the same bar room. And we left together. Well, he had a car. Of course, that was an advantage. And so what happened there was, like they say in my family, she turned up pregnant. She turned up that way. Like a Danish. She turned up that way. Yep. And I didn't know what to do. I really didn't. It never occurred to me to ask my 50 million family members what to do. Never. Never go to my mother, my father, my sisters, 3 sisters. I didn't go to them. Cousins, aunts, uncles. I asked Eddie and Louie, what do you think about this? And the guy, God bless him, he wanted to do the right thing, and in his mind, in his value system, the right thing was to get married and have a family. Yeah, good idea. So I asked Eddie and Louie, what do you guys think? I don't know what to do here. And they said, yeah, marry him. He has a job. That was the criteria. So I went with it. And, sad to say, because that shouldn't be the circumstances but that happened, alcohol was my higher power. It really, so I just did whichever direction it took me. He didn't complain about my drinking. In fact, he would, pay for them. He was a drinker too, so that was good. Alcohol was my higher power, and I was going to have it. So his job was sending him to Copenhagen, Denmark, to work. And so I got on a plane with him. Now I was married, and on that plane, on the way to Denmark, I was really believing and thinking and wanting and saying to myself, this is good. A wife, a mother, these are respected positions to have in my family. This is a big deal. I'm a wife and a mother, I'm going to be good at this. I'm going to do this right. I'm not going to drink anymore. I got a shot here at doing something important. This matters. And I'm going to do it good. And, this part of my story is difficult to tell. It's painful to tell, but I'm going to do it because somebody in here perhaps needs to hear it. See, when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, I didn't hear any women say that they drank during their pregnancy. I heard women say that they stopped drinking for 9 months and then they started drinking again. And that wasn't my story. So I felt worse than an alcoholic, worse than anybody else in the room, lower. And so I didn't tell anybody. I didn't hear anybody else say that they didn't stop drinking during their pregnancy. I'm not saying I didn't try, okay? I tried. And I couldn't stop. And I share that today because if there's a woman in here who had that same experience, I need her to know that she's not alone. I felt very alone with that for many years in here. And I want her to know that I love her, that I care about her, that I respect her, that this is an illness, that she didn't ask for it. I didn't ask for it. None of us asked for it. And that my family didn't stop me from drinking, that education didn't stop me from drinking. Nothing stopped my drinking till I got here. But this is where the horrors of alcoholism took me then. At that time, it wasn't fun anymore. It wasn't fun anymore. Now, I had every intention. In Copenhagen, Denmark, I will not drink. I'm thinking they don't even probably have alcohol there. And as luck would have it, he went to work and I went into a barroom. Just did. And I met Eddie and Louie. These Eddie and Louies didn't even speak English. Didn't matter. We spoke the same language. We spoke the same language. Give me another one. But herein lies the shame for me of my alcohol. This is the part of my story it's painful. But it's important. So, at some point during this pregnancy, it becomes impossible to conceal the fact that you're pregnant. Because I was concealing it. And when the Danish, Eddie and Louie, I took them to see Scarface so they could see how we live in America. I said, we all live like that. Al Pacino, that's right. That's what we do. These were my friends. And then the day came when they cast me out of that barroom. And they called me names, but they called me names in Danish. So I don't have that running through my head. That's good. I'm sure it wasn't good what they said, but it was in a language I didn't understand. So, because sometimes things you say just keep playing, or that are said to you. So I'm glad that was in Danish. I'll never study that language. I don't want to know. It wasn't good. And I knew they were right. I knew they were right. I didn't belong in a bar room. And I was ashamed. And I said, they're right. I'm not going to drink anymore. I shouldn't be drinking. And I went home, and there was a wine cellar where we lived, and I went down in the cellar with a jug of wine by myself. And every day I'm saying, I'm not going to do this tomorrow. I'm not going to do this tomorrow. I'm doing it today because I'm already doing it today, but I'm not going to do it tomorrow. And the horrors of alcoholism, the loneliness, the despair, the horror of it, and the bedevilment, the bewilderment. Like, I don't understand why I can't stop doing this. Oh. So, the day came when you have to give birth. And you don't want to, believe me. Well, maybe some people do. I didn't. I'd still be holed up in that wine cellar to this day. I was afraid. I was so afraid. I was afraid that I was going to have a child that was many defects and problems and alien-like qualities, and everyone was going to know that it was my fault and that I had hurt this innocent. And I couldn't bear it. But the day comes when you got no choice. I don't know what you've heard about this birthing process, but at some point you have no choice. You're going. And so we went to the hospital. And I locked myself in the bathroom. And I'd still be there to this day. I was so afraid and so ashamed. But eventually, I had to come out of there. Of course, it hurts. And they were waiting for me, looking at their watches, They knew I'd come out. You got to come out. Eventually, you're coming out. And I was so scared. I was 20. And but what happened was, now I got to tell you, by then I was an atheist. I didn't believe in anything. I was bitter. And I would argue the non-existence of God with Eddie and Louie. When I think of it now, how really, truly lost I was and how young I was. But in that delivery room, they handed me this newborn that was perfect. And I looked into his eyes were open. And I looked into his eyes, and I saw God for the very first time that I ever recognized God. I saw perfect love. Perfect love. And I fell in love. And I understood that there was something bigger than me, something greater than me, something that, because it wasn't me, that created this perfect infant. And I was more determined than ever. I would never drink again. This child would want for nothing. I would love him and take care of him and protect him. And we went home from the hospital, and he went to work, and I went down in the cellar with a jug of wine and a newborn. And I was more confused than ever. Why can't I stop doing this? Why am I doing this? I'm not going to do it tomorrow. And the loneliness and the horror that I look in the mirror and not recognize myself. Who am I? Who have I become? So, we came back to the States, and the marriage was kind of doomed. kind of doomed, I was very immature, and he's sober many years in Alcoholics Anonymous, so I can say that, he was an alkie too, and it just wasn't good between us. And I really thought, well, he sent me to a psychiatrist. See, he thought it was me and I thought it was him. He sent me to the psychiatrist. And I went and I got diagnosed with Valium deficiency. And that was the best diagnosis I ever got. And it come with these pills. And, I don't know, this could have probably happened to some of you, but what happened to me was it gets to where people don't want to drink with you because of the way you drink, And so I had this one friend, and she would still drink with me, and she had the pills too, the same diagnosis. It's a deficiency. And so her and I sit on the bar stool and drink and take these Valiums and be like Gumby, just floating around. Talk about easy desert. We were wasted. We weren't having any brawls around. We were calm drunks, very calm drunks. And you carry this big purse around because you have stuff that you need. And but I noticed in her purse she had a hairdryer. I said, now why do you carry a hairdryer in your purse for? She said, because when I pee my pants, it's a lot easier to just go in the ladies' room, plug this in, dry everything up. I don't have to do all this laundry. So I thought, well, I'm glad I'm not that bad. Until I peed my pants. And then I thought, she's a genius. She's wicked smart. I'm glad she's my friend. Saved me a lot of time. So, yeah, wasn't very glamorous. The older I get, I think, it's probably not a bad idea. Things are going to happen. So there's always going to be pads there. It's just never something. So it was, it was not pretty. And but we were friends. And I do remember too, painful. My son would be, I'd be dropping him off somewhere. By then he was, big enough to stand up and hold on to your leg, but not making sentences yet. And he'd be holding my leg, screaming. He didn't want to be left. And I didn't want to leave him. I really didn't. And I'd say, Mama's going to be right back. Mama's only going to be gone for a little while. I'm going to come right back. And he knew I was lying. And I knew I was lying. And I had to go. I had to turn and go. And I'd walk away from him and I'd feel so bad. Like, why am I doing this? But it didn't. I had to go. It didn't matter. I had to get a drink. And I got in that bar room one time, it came over me like, I don't want this drink. I need this drink. So I thought I'll leave the marital home. If I leave him, everything will smooth out. I'll be all right. So I took a Buick that had a loan on it, I took a laundry basket full of clothes. I took a coffee pot, because I knew that would piss him off. But I think, actually, I ended up here, so got to have coffee. And my baby, he was 2, almost 2. And we left, and I thought, everything's going to be okay now. We got rid of the problem. We drove off, and I really, and I got a little apartment, and, well, I was still drinking, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't stop drinking. Now he's gone, we're here, and I'm still drinking, still doing the same stuff. I said, it's the waitressing. I got to get out of the waitressing. I got to get a job with a desk and a pencil. See, the people going to work in the morning, it's the lunch bag. That'll fix me. I'll get a job with a desk and a pencil. So I went all over. Oh, God, the lies I told. Trying to get a job with a desk. And I got one. And I got hired at a cable television company as a customer service representative. I had a desk. I had a computer. I told them I knew all about computers. I'd never even seen one before. And it had a phone, and it had a lot of buttons on it that would light up, and it plugged in, and some of you will have to Google that. It was plugs in the wall and buttons to push. Only like 6, not 100,000, just 6, but too many for me at the time. And I was there were 6 other ladies or so in this big room, and they were talking on the phones and pushing buttons on the computer and talking to people saying, yes, HBO, Showtime, it's wonderful. Cable television was new, fairly new, in central Massachusetts at the time. It was $8 for basic. Well, that's how long ago that was. So I was doing the best I could. I had a desk. I had a bottle, go in the bathroom, drink, throw up, come back to my desk, pick up the phone, and pretend that I had a customer. And I'd push buttons, and I would pretend that I made someone's day. You're welcome. My customers are happy. I never get a complaining person. So that made them suspicious, I think. And the boss came up to me, and he asked me if he could see me in the back room. So I thought he was going to make a pass. Now, I got to tell you, the last 2 jobs that I had, I got fired for the way I smelled. And but I thought he was going to make a pass or give me a promotion. That would be great. So, because I'm delusional. So I go in the back room with him. And at this time, I don't know if anybody else sweats when they drink. I had a little problem with that. So I got to where I would always keep my arms like this because of those big spots. I would keep my arms like this and answer the phone and do the... So he gets me in the back room and he says, you see this big computer back here? I said, I can handle that. He goes, no. This computer monitors all the calls coming into this office. And you haven't been getting any. Who have you been talking to? Now, I got caught a lot, obviously. I wasn't exactly very bright. I don't know if I am to this day with a criminal mind, but I was caught. I got caught a lot, and I had a standard exit strategy. I said, let me just get my purse. I'm not going to bother you anymore. I'm sorry. And he proceeded to tell me his story. Yeah. God, I wish I could see him again, I keep trying to find him. He said that he had 2 years without a drink or a drug, that he had broken furniture, broken home, broken family. He was living in his car. But he had 2 years and he was rebuilding his life. And I mean, he had on a polo shirt, a pair of chinos, clean cut. He did not look like the people I drank with. Certainly. He looked, we don't look the same after. And I said, I didn't know what to make of it, right? There's this guy, and he's being so honest. And I'm standing there, so I think, oh, he's confiding in me. He wants to be my friend. And he wants my advice. Because I was a good advice giver on the bar stool. So I said to him, I'm glad you told me. You don't have to tell this story ever again. You got it off your chest. I won't tell anybody. And then meanwhile, I'm thinking, oh, I'm so glad he's my friend. I don't have to worry so much about coming back from lunch. That's so hard. It's almost like, don't give me the lunch break. It's too hard. You leave for lunch and you got to go back. You're half in the wrapper at the local tavern. It's too hard. Just skip the lunch. And I'm thinking, now I don't have to worry so much about that. He's my friend. He's confiding in me. And he says, do you know you have 2 different shoes on today? And I didn't know that. And I didn't know how long I'd been wearing 2 different color shoes. And oh my gosh, so hard to get it together in the morning when you drank all night. And I said, well, I'll just get my purse, and I'm sorry. I was sure he was going to fire me. And he didn't. He said, I want you to stay. He said, I want you to stay. He said, my own family was telling me not to come around anymore. He said, I want you to stay. He said, I'm going to teach you how to use that computer and that phone. And if you ever think that you might have a problem with alcohol, I know some people. They helped me, and I think they can help you too. Yeah. Perfect. He never said it was you. He never said. So I learned the computer, the phone. I was really kind of amazed that he let me stay. Like, that really got my attention. I was used to getting thrown out. I wasn't used to being allowed to stay. And took about 6 more weeks of drinking and hating myself, the self-loathing I had. And thoughts of suicide. My thoughts were consumed with thoughts of suicide. And what's going to happen to this little boy? I just couldn't, what was going to happen to him? That's the only reason I would get up in the morning and try to do another day. I loved him. I loved my boy. I loved him more than life itself. And I couldn't do right. And I didn't know why. And the last weekend that I drank, I was hiding the Buick from the repossession people. We didn't have any electricity, didn't have a phone. And there was an eviction notice on the apartment door. And I was trying to figure out how my son and I were going to live in that car. And I couldn't look him in the eyes anymore. I couldn't look my own child in the eyes anymore. And that last weekend, I had a list of things I was never going to do, and you do them. I did them. I can't say you did them, but things I'll never do that. And I do it. Lower the standard, Together, alcohol is my higher power. So that last weekend, I couldn't get drunk, I couldn't get sober, I was miserable. And the people upstairs from me, I knew that they used needles and they shot drugs, and I didn't know what kind of drugs, and I didn't really care. I went up there, and I said, I got $11, whatever I had, and I said to the woman, I said, I want to do what you do. I want to try it. And she said, I don't have enough for the both of us today. Maybe some other time. She was stingy, right? But I was mad. I was furious. But I understood because I was stingy too. So I drank all weekend, and I dragged myself into work on Tuesday. And I went to Josie, and I still have the step book he gave me, 12 and 12. And I said, Joe, take me to your people. Yeah. And I didn't care who they were. I had no idea who they were. I had the gift of desperation, G-O-D, the gift of desperation. I didn't care. I mean, I'll go so far as to say that I didn't care if they were Yankee fans. I was desperate. Isn't that right, Joe? So, I was ready. I guess I was ready. I was desperate. I was tired. I was exhausted. I was at the end of my ropes. And I was 22 years old. Yeah, I was 3 months shy of my 23rd birthday. So he said, do you think that you can not drink the rest of today and go to this place tonight? And he wrote it on a paper. In Leominster, Massachusetts. I said, oh, it's a church. I don't think I can get in. And then it said Alcoholics Anonymous. I said, oh, Anonymous, I'll wear a disguise. We wear a disguise, I'll get in. I said, yeah, I can do it. I'm going to do it. So I went home, put on my best Salvation Army dress, big straw hat with a big red bow on it, big Jackie Onassis sunglasses, 2 shoes that matched. I got a thing for shoes to this day. I want to be a minimalist, but the shoes, I can't do it. I can't do that. So I took that Buick and I drove over to Leominster, about 2 towns over, to the church on the Common, the Unitarian Church. And they had a Tuesday night meeting, a speaker meeting. I didn't know anything about this. I went there and I'm out in the parking lot smoking, smoking. I don't know why, because we smoked inside, but I was outside wondering if I was going to go inside. I was out there smoking, watching people, watching them going in. And I'm thinking, am I really going to go in there, the church? And I thought, you know what? Whatever's going to happen to me in there, It's better than what's happening to me out here. It's gotta be. And I went up the stairs and down into that church basement. I looked around. I think there was more people there that night than there are here tonight. It looked like a big crowd. And they were all put together, laughing, talking. I thought, they don't drink. They're not going through what I'm going through. Couldn't be. And there was an old guy sitting way in the back, big old drinking nose on him. The storks had pecked at it. I said, he drinks. He knows. He knows. So I went and sat next to him. Oh, God. And I was so nervous. And he says, nice hat. And I'm there. I'm invisible. Don't talk. You know how you are when you're new? Like, don't talk to me. I'm not really here. I'm invisible. I can't talk. No. He goes, you want a cup of coffee? No, I don't want any coffee. No, thank you. No, I don't want it. No. So during the break, there's a 15-minute break in the middle of the meeting. They said it was for the raffle, but it was because we could smoke 20 cigarettes. That's what it was for. And but we'd have a raffle too. But I didn't know any of this. But I saw a guy go up to the coffee pot and get a coffee, and I recognized him from the bar room. And I was stunned. I mean, he drank. That gave me hope. That gave me hope. And after the meeting, I went up to him. And I demanded to know, what's going on here? Peter. His name's Peter. Peter M. What's going on here, Peter? And he goes, who are you? So I had to take off my, briefly. I said, it's me, Diana. What's going on here? He said, I got 2 years. He said, I haven't drank in 2 years. I said, Peter, I got to tell you something. When I looked into his eyes, I mean, when I drank with him, he had no eyes. He had no teeth. I'm looking at him, he's got eyes and teeth. And I'm looking in his eyes, and he tells me, we've been waiting for you. And in his eyes, I saw what I saw in my newborn's eyes the first time I looked at him. I saw perfect love. I saw compassion and understanding. And he was welcoming me. The light that shines through our eyes. My favorite line in the big book is, within every man, woman, and child is the fundamental idea of God. And we can see that in each other's eyes. I saw it that night. I didn't know that's what it was. I didn't know what to call it. I just thought he looked better. But there was something peaceful. So he said, where you living? And he took me to meetings. He said, well, this is where we go on Tuesday, but I'll pick you up tomorrow and I'll take you where we go on Wednesday. We go. I mean, I thought I was going on a date, but it wasn't. I was all excited. I got to get And he took me to a meeting that Wednesday night, and I wore a dress, of course, another Salvation Army dress. And he goes, you don't have to wear dresses here. And I mean, I didn't know what was going on. I really was mocus. It took mocus. They had it was a discussion meeting that night, and I thought they'd bring people from California to talk to us. And then they go back to California. I don't know why I thought that, but I thought that for a little while. It's saturated in there. I also didn't know it was dangerous. I was twitching and stuff. I didn't know that was. I did that several times. I didn't know that was. So, I recommend medical detox if possible. But after a week, Peter said, "You got to go on your own. Now you know where we go. I'll expect to see you there." And he said, "Oh yeah," he said, "Get numbers." He gave me this little address book. "Get numbers." "I don't have a phone," I said. He goes, "Get them anyway." I was getting numbers. And he said, "Get a sponsor." I'm like, "I don't know anybody. He said, "No, in the meetings, get a sponsor, get a woman that's been here." And so nobody wanted to sponsor me. That was a whack job. Yeah, everybody was busy. So this one woman was smoking, at the break. And I said, "Will you sponsor me?" She said, "I only have 2 weeks." I said, "That's okay." We smoke the same. She goes, "I don't think I should." Even she wouldn't take me on. Didn't matter, because I was in a meeting every night. The weekends I'd go to 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. Didn't matter. All of a sudden I wasn't drinking. I couldn't believe it. I was astounded. I just kept showing up. They give me the book. I really couldn't read. It took me a while to be able to read again. I was stealing food from the meetings because I didn't have any. And I was trying to pay the rent so I could stay in the apartment. I was trying to pay the car so I could keep the car. And this woman caught me. She said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I don't have any food and I got a little boy." And I brought him to meetings all the time. He was in the meetings all the time. He'd be in his feety pajamas. He'd go, "Mom, newcomer." And he'd go over and shake their hand. It's like we think we're so discreet, but they, a 2-year-old could tell, "Mom," shake their hand, his little feety pajamas. Everybody loved him. Because I couldn't afford a sitter. Please. So, oh God, those were the days, weren't they? So, she caught me stealing the food. She said, "See that chubby guy in the back?" I said, "Yeah, I see him." She goes, "Go tell him you don't have any food." I said, "Oh, he's probably going to give me food. Vouchers. I don't know." So I went back there. I said, "I don't have any food." She told me to tell you. He said, "Oh," and he took this calendar out. He said, "Well, tomorrow night, come to St. Patrick's anniversary meeting. And when they ask, it's over in Clinton, Friday night, when they ask for volunteers to help clean up after the meeting, you raise your hand." Okay, so I did that. And what happened was they cleaned those leftovers right into the trunk of my car. And that John T., he was from Boston. He went all over the state of Massachusetts to the anniversary meetings. He had all of the group's anniversaries in this calendar. And I didn't know that I kept doing that for about a year to get food. And I knew he was feeding me and my son food by that calendar. But I didn't understand till later that I was being fed spiritually. And I don't know how many people he fed with that calendar. He was a wonderful man. He He was a bachelor, and he just preferred to eat at an anniversary meeting every night, all over the state of Maine. I said, where are we going Friday, John? Arlington. You know, and you just go. Everything I've ever needed, I've gotten in this program. Everything I've ever needed, I get here. So after a year, I met Martha. See, God put Martha right in front of me. God puts the people that you need right. He matches us up. We're put together. The universe is correct. I don't need to question it. That's easier said than done, isn't it? But it's all right where it's supposed to be. And Martha was right there when she was supposed to be there. And she took me under her wing. She loved me, and I loved her. She taught me how to be a friend by being a friend. She taught me to read the literature by reading the literature. She taught me how to be active in my home group by being active in her home group. She was a wonderful person. I loved her dearly, and she sponsored me for the next 18 years. It was wonderful. And she shot from the hip. She was very direct, very honest, and that's what I needed. I can't have this beat around the bush conversation. I run out of the room. I can't handle that. Just tell me. And she did. And so she, she would tell you, you look fat in those pants. Thank you. I'm throwing them away right now. I mean, do you really want someone to say, no, those look good on you? When they don't, please tell the truth. That's what we're here for. So, I was sober about, I was having a wonderful life. My son had a sober mother. We had Christmas trees and Easter eggs. And I was had about 3 years of sobriety, and Martha said, what do you want to be? I said, sober. She said, no, don't you? You got to make a living. Because I was always just, and, a flat tire would kill me for a month. You're just living so close to the edge all the time. And she said, you got to go to school. What do you want to be? I said, well, I wanted to be a nurse, but I'm not pretty enough and I'm not smart enough. And she said, oh, is that what they told you when you went down to apply? Apply? And risk the rejection? I already know what they're going to say. She said, go get the forms. Go get the forms. We'll fill them out. We'll see what happens. We'll pray about it. Well, I got in. And I went to nursing school, and I started to be able to make a living and take care of my son better. I was able to buy us a house to live in. I got a wonderful job as a nurse. I did several different types of work. I loved the community nursing. I loved that. And my son was in school. He was thriving. He was playing hockey. He was 3 years old. Mom, I want to play hockey. Well, okay, we went down, and we'll go down the rink, see what they say. It's big up in Massachusetts, the hockey. So I took him down there. I said, he wants to play hockey. I said, he's small. And the guy said, is he potty trained? I said, yes. He said, he can play. You only have to be potty trained to play hockey. That's it. They throw some skates on you, and you're in. He loved it. That kid loved, and when they're little, they give them the worst ice times, 5 a.m. on Saturday. Okay, And I'd go get all the used equipment that people were throwing away. So I couldn't afford to buy it. But we put it together. People were generous at times. And he played hockey for 12 years. Yeah, he loved it. The first time he made a goal, he sprang up off the ice with joy in his heart and joy on his face. And I started bawling, of course, crying. 10 minutes. And the woman next to me said, "Don't cry. You don't, or something like that. But she don't understand, right? She don't know what we know. She don't know that I was just grateful to be there. That wasn't in the cards for me. You gave me that. You gave me that." So, about 7 years of sobriety, I call up Martha. I said, "Martha, this job doesn't appreciate me. They're not paying me enough. They're not giving me the days off that I request. And this house is nice, but I gotta mow the lawn, and I don't appreciate that. I don't like mowing the lawn. I'm out there mowing the lawn. Every other house has a guy out there mowing the lawn. Where's my guy? 7 years. Why don't I have a guy mowing the lawn? Shouldn't a guy be mowing my lawn by now?" And this, my son, he's doing really well, but his room is a mess. I've cleaned it. I took pictures. I hung the pictures so he would know how it was supposed to look. He won't do it. And I'm getting a new car, but they don't have a blue one. I have to wait. You believe it? That Toyota don't have a blue Corolla? So Martha, in her wisdom, says, when I finally took a breath from my crabbing, she said, "You know what? It's terrible what's going on over there. You're right. Your life sucks. Go in the bathroom and slit your wrists." I'll stay on the phone and make sure nobody saves you. But hurry up, because I got to get to chemo. Oh, I was so embarrassed. I was mortified. How could I be like that? What's the matter with me? So I got off of the call. "Oh, well, I won't keep you any longer." Just feel this big. And I'm pacing the floors for 3 days. I don't have the courage to call her back. I finally called her back. I said, "Martha, what's the matter with..." First, how are you, Martha? How's cancer? And when we got back around to talking about me, I said, "What's the matter with me? I don't understand what's the matter with me. How could I be like that where I come from?" 7 years, short 7 years. She said, "Because it's alcoholism, not alcoholism." And I said, "What would you have me do?" Because I knew, she's right. How close was I to a drink? I don't even know. We don't recognize. We got to have people check us, like for fleas. Do I have any on me? We can't see it. Check me. You got to have people around you that got the same struggles, because then you can see it in them, they can see it in you, and you got to tell the truth. She had to tell me the truth. It's alcoholism. And then she could give me some suggestions. She said, "Ernie and Edith need rides to the meetings." I said, "Ernie, the chicken farmer, he smells. And Edith, she's not sober. She smells too. I think it's bourbon." She said, "That's right. Ernie has DUIs. He can't drive. And Edith we can't have her driving to the meetings drunk. So pick them up." I said, "Pick them up tonight?" She said, "Pick them up every night." Okay, I knew, better than to just do it. Just do it. Someone's telling you to do something that sounds absolutely ridiculous in here, just do it. So I did it. Picking up Ernie, picking up Edith, 4 nights into that, I had my gratitude back. Here he comes. I had my gratitude back. 5. And he knows I'll go on all night. I had Starbucks coffee. It's wonderful. I was in that car with them, and I got my gratitude back. 2 months later, I'm still driving them. We're at the Townsend group one Wednesday night. They're calling out the chips, one for every month. And Edith goes up to get the 2-month chip. We're all clapping. Ernie starts yelling at me. She doesn't have 2 months. She smelled the booze last night in the car. I said, Ernie, please, just clap. It's a plastic chip. It's not the Nobel Peace Prize. It's Wednesday night. Just leave her alone. I said, I pick her up, and she's out in the driveway, ready to go. We get to your house, and we got to wait. Just clap. She wants this. Well, and I said, be quiet. Don't say anything to her. Well, we get in the car. He couldn't be quiet. He says, Edith, you don't have 2 months. I smelled booze on you last night. She says, well, of course you did. She says, I have 60 days. She goes, I have a calendar. I mark the days I drink. I mark the days I don't. I got 60 days. So, Edith eventually got sober. She took the coffee job for the group. She died sober. She had been trying to get sober since 1968. She rode with me in that car till the day came she took the coffee job for the home group. She used to tell her own story. She was hysterical. You'd have loved to have her here. And she died sober. Mass General was saying the Lord's Prayer at her bedside. Yeah. She said it was because her commitment to the group. Once she took that coffee job, she didn't want to let everybody down. Everybody had welcomed her and been kind to her. Yeah. That's love. That's what we have here. And Ernie got his license back, paid some lawyer $100,000, $1 million, whatever it is. He got it. One day I said, Ernie, how many DUIs do you have? He said, 7. I said, I'm never getting rid of this one. That's my car the rest of my life. Be driving him. But he got his license back. I was happier than he was. And I said to my sponsor, I want to go to law school. Am I smart enough and pretty enough? She said, go get the forms. Go get the forms. She said, there's 8 law schools here in Boston. That's what I did, from the bar stool to the bar exam. She taught me to live my dreams. We live our dreams. That's what we do here. And we have the love and understanding and the compassion of the people in the rooms backing us up. It's the power of God. We see it in each other's eyes. I see it in your eyes tonight. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for bringing us here this weekend to have this time with you.